Hello everyone, this is Daniel. I'll look into the telemetry data of my teammate Dylan Gonas, who runs for our team, Black Gold Racing. He's a Canadian driver. He never used the telemetry before, so we just set up his computer for us to look how he is doing in the circuit comparing to a player lap. He is faster than me, but he's not used to use the telemetry. So we can see what he can improve in his races. So we are looking here for the Red Bull Ring. He is racing with a higher temperature. So this is an issue to compare the laps. He'll be slower anyways, but I think it is enough to compare. So we are seeing a difference for who doesn't know the track. We have a significant difference here to look. The blue line is the pro lap and the red line is Dylan's lap. We have a difference of 3 seconds and a half. He just did a clean lap, so he didn't practice close to enough to have a competitive lap. I'm sure based on other circuits he will do way faster than that tomorrow. We have the basic telemetry data, the speed difference between the two cars here. I'll close my camera right now to make it easier to see the data. I'm also taking our logo from the screen. Here we have the difference in time between the laps of the both laps. The distance between both cars have returned. We have the throttle difference, the brake difference, the steering angle difference, and here we have handbrake and clutch that it's not applicable for the GT3 cars. We are talking about the BMW GT3 car. So we'll look into details in every turn, but we can see here we already can see a huge difference between how the pro are doing the laps and Dylan here in the brake section, because you can see the red line way higher than the blue line in almost every turn. This means that Dylan can gain a lot of time if he put less pressure on the brakes. Let's first of all, I forgot to say that, but I'm Brazilian. English is not my first language, so my apologies in advance. So let's go to the turn one. We just loaded the data for the turn one. We can see here a slight difference in the speed of both cars. I believe mostly because Dylan actually released the throttle later than the Pro, and to make the turn in an ideal position, he braked with 100% force for at least, let me see, 300, at least 100 meters with a full brakes in the turn. So this usually mess with the weight distribution of the car. Again, I'm talking about telemetry. I'm not fast, but I understand a little about the telemetry data. I wish I could do better when I'm the driver, but I think I can understand a little about the data. The Pro is using 75%, and maybe because of that, he can accelerate better in the end of the turn. I'm pretty sure here is the apex of the turn, if I'm not mistaken. So he's already full throttle and release a little to make a better turn. I'm not seeing great difference in the steering angle right now and in line distance. I think the main issue for him to improve is the brake pressure probably, and the throttle will be a consequence. Of course, release a little earlier the throttle, but the brake start in a similar position. When I see my telemetry, it is very similar to start braking in a similar point. I usually release later. They have way more patience than me between the in the transfer of the throttle to the brake. We can see in the straight after the turn one, because of the difference in speed, they get a lot of time here. So this is something important when we analyze the turn one. Is not about 3/10 of a second, is about almost, actually more than 7/10 of a second in the turn one plus straight. Number one, let's go to the turn two. It's not very different when we see the start of the release of the throttle, but again, Dylan is using 100% force in the brakes, and the Pro is never at 100, and he starts to make something like a trail brake, and because of that, he gains some time, but is 4/10 of a second in better conditions. This is actually not a bad turn at all, but maybe he can win some time changing the way he brakes. It's also not very different, the application of the steering angle. It's actually way better than mine. I need to improve a lot my steering angle. In the turns, the angle of Dylan is very good. Again, a little lost time in the straight, but not significant right now. Let's go to the turn 3 and 4. The release is very similar of the throttle, so this is good. And it can be, of course, better, the reapplication of force in the throttle, but is close enough. The brake is actually better than the other turns, I guess. He can brake a little later, probably, but it's a slight difference. And maybe if he don't come close to the 100%, we have a better execution. But I think it's close enough. Something relevant here is the distance between the lines. I'll give a zoom here. He probably can win a better angle if he uses more of the track. We can see a significant difference in the lines performed by the Pro and Dylan. In turn number 5, it's a huge difference of the brake application. This is a challenge for me driving because I'm losing the rear of my car doing the turn. So he's putting again 100%, but he can do around 70% and for less time, and use a lot of trail braking here in this turn is way better. So this is almost like a new execution of the turn when he start doing that. So we're talking about almost half a second here. And I think he can improve a lot changing the approach. This will be very similar in the turn number 6. He's pressing a lot more brake, and he stop accelerating later than the Pro. So when he start doing the turn in a similar way as the Pro again, I'm expecting him to win a lot of time. he lost a little time in the straight here because of that. And we go to the last two turns. The release of the throttle again is mostly correct. In the last turn actually is a little later than ideal. And I saw in the tutorial of the Pro about how is misleading the release of this throttle, so he can do really earlier. It's weird. It looks like you are braking in the straight for no reason, but it's better when you do the turn properly. And we see again the brake. There is a difference between the pressure. He's doing 60% in the turn number 7 and around 52%, 53 in the turn number 8. So this will change again the way he does. But I think it's very positive because he's doing that without any data to tonight. So he has a very good application of the steering wheel, way better than mine. Again, he's a very fast driver, so I'm pretty sure he will do way better than before with the help of data. So the idea is to have some opportunities to share a little of data analysis and telemetry. We're doing a lot to improve in our team. I think it's a good idea to share with our channel. And don't forget to follow our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, and our social media on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.